But said then when he created the angels and they worshiped him, then he expressed the attribute that he wanted to be God. Now I tell you something, I said this to my church not long ago. If God depended on you to make him God, how many people would make him God by worshiping him? I said if he depended on some people to help to express that attribute, he would never express himself to be God. You understand, when you come to them church doors, you come for one reason. That's not to be entertained by the song leader, the choir, or anybody else. They're here to sing worship to God, and you're here to join with them, and let's make him God by giving him worship. But God, knowing the end from the beginning, Brother Branham says he did not choose by desire. Let me explain why. And this to me expresses the great heart of the very God each one of you claim to serve tonight. And I tell you something, you ever get the Holy Ghost the way it's supposed to be down in your heart and your soul, you'll have the same desire God has. And his desire was, he didn't desire any man to be lost, but he desired that all would be saved. But because he is God and he is infinite, he knew the end from the beginning. So therefore he knew who would and he knew who would not. And therefore he was able to predestinate. He knew that in this last hour, in Satan's Eden, he would have somebody that's going to love him. He saw you before the foundation of the world, and by his foreknowledge wrote each one of your names down in the Lamb's book of life before the foundation of the world. Think about it. Why would God even care about Marilyn Monroe? She was used and abused. You know, there was a lot of men. Brother Branham, when he talks about it, he breaks up. You can hear him on tape sort of break up and like he's almost choking back, crying. You know, and he talks about her, she went from church to church, he said, trying to find something. And he realized they all lived just like she did. Brother, all the men that was ever around her was after one thing. Every man that's got a poster of her has got him up on a wall because of one thing. But if she could ever got to this man, she'd have found a man that wasn't after her body. She'd have found a man that was after her soul. And I don't know what eternity holds. That kind of reminds me of the woman at the well. Married 5 times. The one she had wasn't her own, but brother, 6 she had. But when she met the 7th one, it turned everything around. When she found the 7th one, she found a man that was after her soul. What I said last night, and I know I got to get into this, but don't you prejudge who God can save and who he can't save. Never seen people trying to clean fish before you ever catch them. Got to catch them first. And then after you catch them, don't clean them up. Let God do it. Don't go trying to tell them, well, now quit this and quit this. Stop wearing this. Stop wearing that. Start doing this. Leave that stuff alone. Get them to Christ. And watch the Holy Ghost come down in there and transform them to the image of that word. We want everybody to look just alike, look like us. But that ain't the way it works. What we want to do is get people to Christ and let God by the Holy Ghost mold them into the image of his Son. Now some people ain't going to like that, but I'm going to tell it like it is. You don't change people, only God does. You might change in the image of your church or how you want them to be, but over time it starts manifesting whether it's really down here or not. Brother, if you get it down here and God seals it in by the Holy Ghost, there ain't a devil in hell that can take it out of you. That's right. What I said last night, somebody talked you in this, somebody will talk you out of it. But if God ever reveals it to you, there ain't enough preachers, enough false prophets, and enough devils to talk this message out of you. God looked down through time. He saw this very day. He knew he would predestinate a bride that would not fail. Somebody said, well, you know, there's got to be somebody that understands. Look, I've been around this over 30 years now, and I ain't met a man in shoe leather that understands all this message. I don't care how much they think they do. They don't. But it's not important that you understand it all. It's important that you believe it all. And to believe it is a prerequisite to God opening your understanding to it. And just because, I know it hair lips, but just because somebody ain't where you are, don't mean that God ain't got a hold of them. Come here, Brother Seth. Help me out for a minute. What's that bottle say?
Purified water.
No, it don't.
Recycle.
No, it don't. It said we would love to hear about your members' Mark experience. What's yours say?
It says members Mark.
No, it don't. It said samsclub.com/membership. Are we looking the same bottle?
Yes, sir.
Now, just hold on. Maybe this will help. Now, you tell me what you see.
It says the same thing.
What's it say?
It says we would love to hear about your members.
That ain't what you said a minute ago.
I couldn't see it for you.
You said purified water. Recycle for... I'm not trying to confuse him. I'm just trying to tell him he could be on one side of the mountain, I could be on another. But we're still describing the same mountain. Still look at the same bottle. But after a while, he'll be preaching this for a while. I'll be preaching this for a while. People say, oh, they don't believe alike. Give God time. He'll turn around. Then he'll start preaching this and I'll start preaching that. But what happens is, don't get mad at me. What happens is we think if everybody ain't preaching what we're preaching, our church at the time we're preaching it, they ain't bride. Give them a few years, you'll march around this side of the mountain. They'll march around that side of the mountain. God lets us see all around the mountain, so we preach the whole gospel. But you start saying, well, I heard them, they ain't preaching what we're preaching. They ain't preaching what we're preaching. Just give them a little bit of time. You might be preaching what they're preaching. They might be preaching what we're preaching. Look, every church is sovereign. I said every church is sovereign. And God by sovereignty leads his dear children along.